right. So I know we're going to talk about roofers, turning from contractors to CEOs to business owners, right? So where are most roofers at? I guess like where are most roofers, if like where do they find themselves in the company when they're just now starting out, and like what's that main like bottleneck or bump in the road when they're trying to scale?
There's a few camps. There's a camp of just starting out, and I don't know if you ever read the E-Myth, but they have an entrepreneurial seizure. They're working for somebody else, and they're thinking, well, why are they making all the money? I can do it. Or something happens, and they go out and strike it on their own. And like we were just talking about a little bit ago, it's so easy. The barriers of entry are so low to become a contractor for the most part, most states, that they can do that. And they know how to put a roof on, but then they go to the next stage, if they can get to the next stage, and that is where they start growing and they kind of got a business going, and they got to start hiring people. And that's when usually there's barriers that start happening. The bottlenecks are that become evident is that they may or may not become evident. They don't know how to run a business. And so those are the limiting factors for a lot of folks. And the people who seek us out are the people that know that they have a desire to have a real business. And a real business is one that, they can operate. They can, we like to say you can do business on purpose with, but they just can't get there. They realize that they're not going to get there with what they know. So they reach out to us, so kind of like for the boost over the hump.
So yeah, so they're more independent contractors. And are most roofers, do they start out as contractors for other roofing companies and then kind of do their own thing?
That wasn't the case with me. I started in supply and then went to work in contracting. So I didn't have the nail banging background. But that is most of the time that they start out working for someone else and realize, hey, you know what? There's good money to be made here. There's a lot of top line revenue. The top line revenue is really high, and there's opportunity to there's every house has a roof on it, right? So there's ample opportunity.
So a lot of what we do, we work with online businesses and local businesses, and I know that your expertise is in home services and specifically in roofing. So how would it be different? What are some unique use cases, or what are some unique ways that like it's difficult for a roofer to be able to grow and scale? I mean, you got the, affordability and, having a competent staff and stuff like that. But what is the thing that is there a thing that will they'll click that will like, okay, now we can start to scale?
Yes. And this is kind of where our relationship is pretty interesting. It's having the systems and processes and the sales process specifically to be able to be replicated and then be able to create marketing at will. So what a lot of roofers and a lot of local service companies rely on is reputation. And then they will do the basics of their website. Maybe they get seen online, they get a website up, maybe they're doing some pay-per-click, maybe they get on Google local services. And for those of your listeners who are old enough to know the Yellow Pages, that's the same playbook as contractors use.
I used to mess around with the Yellow Pages.
Yeah, you probably saw some at your parents' house, right? A big old is this big old block of paper?
I think when I was eating, they would feed me peas when I was little. I'd sit on one. No, I'm
So, but this was old contractor marketing. The whole marketing plan was, I'm going to try to get the biggest ad in the front of the section for roofing or whatever the service is in the Yellow Pages, and then everything else would come from word of mouth.
Or wouldn't they do like AABC?
Oh yeah, that would be like name their company, like AAA Roofing and AAA Best Roofing or whatever else. Yeah, so they want to be up front. If you didn't have one of those fancy names, if you bought the biggest ad, you would get pushed further forward. So that was really the marketing plan, and what that's morphed into now is Google is the Yellow Pages, and then they still have the local service or their reputation to get them leads. But the bigger companies back then, and it's still the case now, are the ones who have those things, but they also have strategies for generating leads. So now it's Facebook. We still have radio, TV. I call it proactive marketing. I can't remember what you call it. I know you call it something else.
Disruptive marketing.
Disruptive marketing. Yes.
Yeah,
disruptive marketing. Yes. Where
yeah. So real quick, you have like high intent. That's like Google. People who are typing in and searching. And then those are people who are very at the end of the marketing and the buying window of like, okay, I know I absolutely need to like get my roof done right now. Then you have people who are just kind of chilling, sitting back and like, I kind of think I need to redo that thing. Or like a hailstorm came through. I need to contact a roofing company. They just haven't done it.
Yeah.
And then
it's on their radar.
Exactly. They just haven't taken the point or haven't taken the push to like actually start typing in. So you're getting them on like Facebook or Instagram and they're like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to do this. And like, if the offer's good, the copy's good, then you convert them into a lead.
I'll give you a real life case study. So when I started my company it was 2006. This was kind of the turning point of Yellow Pages to web, and I went to work before that for one of my customers. I was in supply. They were one of my customers, and they'd been around for 30 years. Their phone just rang. They had the ad in the front. Their marketing plan was the ad in the front of the Yellow Pages, but they've been around for 30 years. So the phone rang off the hook in the season. And, but then when I left there, I didn't really know how to market. But because of a bunch of circumstances, when we left, our business had to do 2 million its first year from jump, from 0 to 2 million our first 12 months. And that's in 2006 dollars. That'd be like 4+ million now. Yeah, all in retail residential roofing. And retail residential roofing means you go out and get every customer, right? So I had to learn how to market like real quick. And so I learned how to create disruptive marketing quickly. But that's the other part where I can kind of explain how it works or what works for a scalable company is then, but we had the business plan process, operational excellence, and the sales process where I knew, and this is one of the other barriers. If you're going to go spend 8, 10, 12% on marketing, right? You've got to be able to charge more than Billy Bob in the back of his truck. So in order to do that, you've got to have a sales process that can sell more for more. And luckily we had that. So we were able to do that. And we scaled up our business to over 8 figures in the next few years and sold it off to private equity. That's where the two-handed thing comes into play. Now, what we used for our disruptive marketing was, at first it was direct mail, then it was radio, and then TV. So we kind of went up that ladder. Those are nowhere near as efficient, in my opinion, as social media. And social media wasn't a thing back when I was doing it. And that's why I'm so excited about what you guys are doing, because I really think what you guys are doing is critical for local service companies to be able to do that disruptive market if they want to scale. And then they need on the other side, they need that sales process. They need the business plan. They need the operational excellence. They need the controls in place. And that's where we come in.
I think you go into your point on like why the radio, the TV, the mail might not be as effective. I think it's just the attention shift. Everyone's got a little computer that is literally wired for you to be on it as much as possible, down to the science of the app color. I think if you take away social media and really any platform that you spend hours and hours and hours on, like the smartphone that you have is not really that fun. It's got a map. That's cool. You could text and you can call. And I mean, like how often are you like scrolling through a website? Most of the time you're on these social media apps, which are designed with billions of dollars, and they hire the best biohacking minds to try to figure out how to keep you on them.
And why are they doing that? So they can get advertising money.
Yeah. And then that's what I was about to say. So they are like, they're collecting all of this data and everybody's using that data because those platforms are free. How are they free? Is because you can put ads on. And I always use the thing like Facebook knows what I did. Instagram knows what I did 2 years ago on this day. And I don't even know what I had for lunch this day last week Right. I don't know how, but anytime I mention pepperoni, crust, pizza, like boom, Domino's pizza ad.
We had some friends over, and let's just say that they worked at a high level government agency. Okay,
Okay.
A couple of years ago, and they were talking about some of this, and they purposely, one of them left their phone in the vehicle, one of them didn't. We had just gotten a Maltese puppy, and nobody got on their phones, nobody was looking at anything, nobody was typing anything in.
Yeah.
Next day, they called us and said, "Guess what? Guess what got served up in our feed? Something about buying Maltese puppies got served up in their feed."
That's so crazy.
Yeah, so yeah, you're right. I mean, and well, I think you teach in your training about I call them the 3 M's of marketing. The media, the message, and the market. I think you call them a little bit something different, but I think we got them from the same place from Dan Kennedy, which is, you have the media is just the vehicle to serve up your message to the right market. And what you're saying is so true. And that's that's why I think it's so great what you guys are doing. We're looking there. We just need to get our message in front of our prospect. Yeah. That's what we need to do. And then it needs to be effective. So they're looking at that. So we need to disrupt them with our message. If we want to pull in more of those people that are kind of thinking about maybe when they're going to do something in the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah.
If we can get them to take action now, at least a high enough percentage of them to take action now to fund the marketing, then we'll also, depending on how we do it, benefit from the branding that's happening as well. And we did this with radio and direct mail. We did a lot of it, tens of thousands of dollars a month on mail to start off with. And the idea was to get enough return to fund that, but then create the marketing, the momentum of the brand awareness. So then when the regular months that were busy for us would happen, we could shut marketing down. We could turn it down because we would be overwhelmed. And then we could in the months where there were the dips, we could push more when our competitors weren't.
Now that's obviously the first part of growing and scaling a company, is having a way to get your market, your message, and, just define the right people and then get in front of them.
Yeah.
Now, where it gets a little squirrely is like, what do you do when you're in front of that person?
Yeah.
And that, I feel, has to be dialed in so that you are getting an ROI on whatever ad dollars that you're spending.
I mortgaged my house to buy the marketing to do that $2 million.
You would have, for anybody listening, and you don't know, let me paint the picture here. He mortgaged or sold his house so that he could get what was your goal? $2 million?
$2 million. And we had $160,000 marketing spend year one.
You would have to be so overly confident in the back end process that you knew you were going to make that money back. And we already know that it happened.
It did happen.
So something that I would like to dig into. So what's the secret? Not the secret. I mean, like for roofing, right? But
yeah, well,
the point that I was originally trying to make is that, like, just because you have people, like, you could totally botch that. And then you could say, you know what, this marketing thing doesn't work. Or, for whatever reason, these are terrible leads. But I think if you have the right process on the back end where you can sell people for more money and sell more of those people, that's how you really start to be profitable. And
do it all without being high pressure. Okay. The process that I developed, and I've got on our website, roofcoach.net. If you go there, we have a free guide. It's the 5 things. I can't even remember what the name of it is, but it's the 5 things that keep contractors in the doghouse, basically unable to grow. And there's 5 things that I laid out there. Our process. Well, we built an excellent machine. So what we were delivering and the service and the quality, just like your company, when you sign up with you guys, it's very laid out and dialed in, all the steps are figured out. Same thing, systems and processes to deliver a superior product. And then to be able to go and communicate that benefit and that value in a way that separates you from everyone else. That's what our sales process does. And the beautiful thing about it, it's all logic based. It's not hypey. It's not a bunch of drops. People may or may not be familiar. There's some contractors are out there and they'll start at $50,000 and they'll end up at $25,000. And it's a
price anchoring.
it's a bunch of weird, really it's tin men practices that have been around since the 50s, right? And that's one way of doing it. But our process isn't like that. It really gets homeowners from a consultative standpoint to understand the differences. And when you are actually delivering a better product, you're worth more. That's really it.
So what are they doing there with the price anchoring? Are they just price anchoring a more expensive roof and then saying like, hey, well, I think you probably
tertiarily experience with it, but it's like, if you put a yard sign out, we'll do this. And if you refer 5 people, we'll do that. And next thing you know, they're chipping away. And let me go talk to them. It's like going to a car dealership, let me go talk to the manager and I'll do this and I'll do that. And next thing you know, that it's called in the business of retail sales, it's called par selling. So that salesperson goes in knowing that they have a number that they can't be below if they want to get their full commission. Whatever they sell above that, they get to split, or there's some sort of a sharing of what is over with the company. So they'll go in and swing for the fences and then chip away and chip away and chip away until they get down to the bottom number. And in the meantime, they're driving the people that they're helping crazy, or
it's probably building a lot of sales resistance.
Absolutely.
Like, hey, man, like, listen, I wasn't born yesterday. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And at that point, you like all the rapport that you did build with that person. By the time you start doing all that stuff, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I think they're probably looking at least 2, 3, 4 other companies. Maybe.
Yeah. Well, maybe, if they weren't, they will be now.
Right. That. Yeah.
The what I teach the folks that we work with is, if you look at 100% of the people that could invest with you, there's on one side, there's a small percentage, maybe 10, 20%. They are never going to buy from you. Their value system is not in alignment with what you're offering. If you're offering high quality, there's just people that don't see the value. They'll buy on price, and that's okay. There's a small percentage on the other side that they've purchased services before. They're familiar. I mean, when I invested with you guys, I'd gone through a similar system as yours, and I wasn't happy with it. Then when I saw yours, I had alignment. Right. I already kind of was conditioned for what you guys were offering. So you
were going to buy either way, as long as like we didn't F up the call.
You didn't screw it up. Yeah. Yeah. So there's those people and that happens, and that's great. They're conditioned. It's just a fit. Then you've got like this 50, 60% in the middle. They need to understand why. They don't know enough. They need to understand why. And if you are better, if you are providing a better service, a better quality, then you should be more. I mean, we go to Starbucks and spend a ridiculous amount of money on coffee. We buy Apple products that are more expensive than other alternatives out there. Why do we do that? Because they have more value to us. So our job in the sales first we have to be better. Number one, you can't not be better if you expect to get a premium amount, but you have to be better, and that's where we come in and help with that. Help with that being better. We like to call it the dealership model. Be like, if we happily will go, if we want our car fixed correctly, where do we take it?
The premium dealership.
We take it to the dealership. That's right. Yeah. If we want it done right, we take it to the dealership, and we know we're going to pay more. So we need to be the dealership model. And then we need to communicate what that means. And if we can do that, if we can get people to understand why and do it effectively, those people that are in the middle that lean more towards quality will buy. And if we can collect, let's say we start off with 10 to 20% of the people over here just buy. If we can,
no matter what, as long as you don't mess up the call, they're gonna, okay.
If we can double that with an effective sales process, and we are able to charge 10, 15% more, 20% more than we would have charged, that's when good things happen. That's
when great things happen. That's when you can spend a little bit more money. You could be more effective in your ad dollars.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, you talked about Dan Kennedy earlier. The person who can pay the most to acquire a client always wins.
Yep.
So in a market where a lot of people are just fighting for the bottom and trying to get after more of the just product and productized and, just commodity based business. I mean, I know like roofing isn't really a commodity, but I mean, if you're looking at 4 or 5 different other companies, it starts to seem like a commodity. But then you got this one company that's now the way that they're talking is more value based.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay. Like this is quality. This is way more valuable to me. And I don't mind paying more.
Well, it is a commodity in the homeowner's mind a lot of times because they've never bought one before. So they don't know that they don't know. They just think a roof's a roof, a roof is a roofer. It says roofer on the business card. They must all do the same thing. Yeah. So what are they going to use to make their judgment? Well, did they kind of show up on time? Were they nice? Did I like them? And what's their price? Right. They just don't know any different, right? So in that way, it is kind of a commodity, and that's the trap. And the trap is that, look, if you talk to 10 roofers and say, hey, would you like to be able to charge 30% more than you do right now and have people actually give you positive reviews because of it? They go, yes. But how do I do it? And the thing is you can do that. That is possible. They just need to understand why. So what happens? They don't believe that. Every homeowner is telling them, you're more than Billy Bob. Why are you more than Billy Bob? I don't see the difference. So they get conditioned to think, I've got to figure out a way to be cheaper. And so how do they do that? They maybe don't get the right insurance. They don't pay the right people on the jobs. Maybe they cut a corner here, they cut a corner there. They're doing whatever they can to survive. And that puts them in survival mode. They're in survival mode forever. And when you're doing that things and maybe not doing everything exactly right, then one false move can take you out of business. And that's why there's such a high termination rate in our industry. But it doesn't. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like 90+% of roofers that start their company are gone in the first 5 years. And out of that, the sad news is that the people that do make it, it's like 95% of them never achieve revenue beyond 3 million. And if you can't get beyond 3 million, you can't build a business that's going to give you wealth and a lifestyle.
What's the biggest reason? Why are most roofers going out of business? And then why can't they get to 3 million?
They don't realize it's called the roofing business.
It's always that old adage. I forget who says this, but it's like when you're in business for somebody, you're employed. Then when you go into business yourself and you're starting out, you're self-employed. Then there's the business owner, and then there's, enterprise and stuff like that.
You own a job. A lot of roofers out there own a job, or they are a glorified employee with way more risk. Yeah. Because they're ripping the tops off of people's houses. They're responsible for putting human beings up in the air on these slope surfaces in the weather. I mean, it's a crazy business. But the reason why they go out of business in a lot of cases, if you look at why, it's rarely because they put a roof on that caved in and caused a bunch of problems to people's houses. It's because they didn't know how to operate efficiently. They didn't know how to operate consistently. They didn't know how to recruit, hire, and train. Because they didn't run a good business, they couldn't attract top quality talent. And because they couldn't charge the right amount, they couldn't afford to market to sustain themselves. They couldn't afford to pay a market to pay people well, to give them benefits, to give them the best training, to provide them the best equipment and tools. So that's really where they fall down. And that's really why we exist. That's why we exist. We're passionate about turning roofers into CEOs. Yeah. And I was talking with a prospect a couple weeks ago, and I go, what does that mean? And I on the spot, I go, well, anybody can be like a dad, but only certain people can be a father.
That's a great way to put it.
It is the roofing business. It is the roofing business. And that's intimidating for a lot of people that come up in the trades because they think that it's too complex and too hard. But that's another reason where what we've done and the way we do it is you don't have to have a business degree to be able to do it. It really is not that difficult. All the processes that we teach are consumable by them, and the way we do it is a done with you model. So we don't just give you a bunch of books and videos and expect you to figure it out. We work with you to get it implemented in your company.
So it sounds like it's like a two-pronged approach, right? So getting someone when you obviously have the lead, they're coming in, getting really good at selling that person. Then sounds like there's a line there. Then running operationally effectively on the back end so that you're focusing on quality and optimizing for all the KPIs and metrics that you need to hit to run a successful business.
A big part of that comes down to having a plan in the first place. Yeah. So being able to forecast out, like when we created our company, took a look at our expenses. I took a look at, because we had a bunch of people, we left another business. A bunch of people wanted to come to work with us. So I foolishly said, whoever wants to come, you'll have a job. You'll have, we're not trying to steal you away. Okay. But we literally would show up to our office and there'd be people sitting on our doorstep saying, when can we come? So we just said, whoever wants to come, you can come. You'll have the same pay. You'll have the same benefits. You'll have the same tools. You'll have the same everything, which was crazy. But because I knew how to do a business plan, I said, okay, well, here's all these expenses. Here's what I know our margin will be and whatever else. This is what we're gonna have to do, in order to cover all that. And this is after my partners and I taking 50% pay cuts, right? This is what we're gonna have to do to make it. So you gotta have a business plan, number one. Then you have to have the data collection processes. And one of the things that we talk a lot about with our clients is, and I've seen hundreds, I don't know, maybe 1,000 different businesses very intimately. And I've seen $100+ million companies and lots of under $1 million companies. And there's something that both of those companies usually have in common. These smaller, unsuccessful companies, and you don't have to be small to be unsuccessful. I've seen large, unsuccessful companies too.
Yeah.
They don't have clean data. The companies that are successful have clean data. Mm-hmm. They have clean data that they are monitoring and measuring. So that's one of the first things that we get implemented with people when we work with them.
Gosh, it's so important, because if you don't know what one you're measuring, you don't know what you should be optimizing. And then not only that, but then to have someone who's been there, done that, and to know like, hey, is this number even good?
Right.
Am I crushing it? Or should I not change anything because it's amazing? Or should I be like, whoa, what the heck's going on? Because this is totally off.
Well, and I'm sure you can see it with people you talk with marketing. It's like looking at the matrix for you now, right? They say 5 different things. You go, okay, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? And let's zoom in here for a second, right?
Dude, I didn't even know that existed. What? You just pulled that out of...
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's what happens when you look at a few hundred businesses, right? When you have that information, you make a plan, you monitor it, it changes your whole mindset, because now you're making objective decisions, and the emotions get reduced, your confidence levels go up, and then I love seeing the transformation with the people that we work with, going from disbelief, like, sure, I guess we'll see, to holy smokes. I know now I can project out 3 years, and I believe that's what's going to happen. And I'm confident. Now I know how to bring people on board, and the scale starts to really occur.
At what point does someone hire a sales rep?
It depends. And we actually have a kind of I think I showed you our growth chart,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And inside of the more detailed version, it depends on the strength of the owner. Like if the owner is more, there seems to be kind of two paths. They're either more operationally sound, or they're more sales sound. If they're more sales sound, we recommend in the very beginning, if they're just starting to scale up, to get operational and or admin support, because that sales generator, you don't want to mess with that. But if they're more operationally sound, then it's get a salesperson as soon as you can. As soon as you get one, you want to get another one right away, because if something happens to that one, you're in trouble, right? So you want to get to where you can have two.
So you recommend hiring a sales rep, and then relatively pretty quickly hiring a second one, because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And what's the onboarding normally? The time?
Once you're able to use our process, we are seeing people now, and our process was a 4-week training. So we're seeing now our clients are starting to turn people from zero to producing sales for more than their competitors in about 30 days. Yeah.
So that would be important to hire two, because if you had one and they left, then now you're looking at a 30-day ramp up period.
But if you understood what happens with most roofing contractors, 30 days is like, holy smokes, that could happen. And we're talking about people that have no industry experience. Here's what most roofers do is go, hey, I'm looking for an experienced salesperson. Does anybody know one?
Just like any sales?
Well, no, in roofing.
Oh, okay.
And the problem with that is most salespeople in the roofing game are just They're not salespeople. They're just estimators that win jobs on price.
Especially in our industry, and I'm sure in your industry, you really have to be not a ticket taker, but an expert first, then a salesperson. To build that rapport and that expertise. And then don't get me wrong, you do have to have sales skills, right? But you are an expert in a way of like, you just seem so knowledgeable about this specific topic that you're speaking on. And you seem like a consultant almost. Then you pair that up with the proper sales skills to make sure that you're communicating effectively and you're getting those deals across the line at a shorter time period than most people would and at a higher rate. That's a lethal person.
Yes, but here's where the problem is with the experts is they can't talk in homeowner language. Mm-hmm. They're blind. They know so much. They're blind to it's the curse of knowledge. They're too familiar to be aware of the other party.
Yeah.
So where we had success is, and here's the thing. In 30 days, we could typically teach someone how to be more knowledgeable about roofing than 95% of the roofers out there.
You're taking a salesperson.
Someone that has the aptitudes. We actually do behavior analysis and skills analysis. So we look for the right people with the right cognitive abilities, the right mental abilities. And
we do the same thing. Yeah. Like we have it's weighted. And we look at like people would think that like prior sales experience would be like the number one weighted thing. No. Like our number one is like, I think it's work ethic. And then underneath that is curiosity. And underneath that is like intelligence. Like how easily can you take a complex thing and explain it in like one or two sentences? Mm-hmm. And then like a couple more down, then it's like sales experience. So to your point, yeah, you're looking for the right person.
The way we teach and our belief in recruiting and hiring is that there's three elements to a quality hire, to a fit. And one is universal to the company, and the other two are connected to the position. The one that's universal to the company is a values fit. And having that values fit is when you have somebody that will bleed for the company. They're part of they'll do anything. They're just part of the fabric. Then the next part is we got to make sure they're in the right seat, right? And that has to do with their behaviors, interests, and their abilities. So behaviors and interests is how they'll do the job, and if they'll want to do the job, they have the natural aptitudes for it. And then abilities are what have they done up till now that would indicate that they will be able to do this. So for example, for roofing, we would look for people that have gravitated to some sort of sales because they like to deal with people. Maybe they have sold something in the home. So that's not a barrier they have to overcome going into someone's house and talking to them. If they've ever worked in any kind of construction, been on roofs, been outside, lifted things, those are some things that are things that would be indicators that we're not going to have those roadblocks to overcome while we're trying to teach them the technical things they need to know. Those are kind of some of the things just for the roofing salesperson specific, but still those three things are kind of the things that we follow and we teach our people.
That. The values, yeah, you got to have someone who definitely follows the core values of the company.
Sure. Yeah, so have you ever, just to test this theory, have you ever fired someone like no questions asked, they got to go? Was it a values violation?
Very few times have we had to do that.
We can deal with poor performance if their heart's in the right place. We can work on them, we can help them, we can teach them, we can coach them, we can do all that. But if someone violates the values of the organization, that's when it doesn't work. So what we try to get people to do, we try to help them is to make sure, keep the crazy out. So in the screening process, we're bringing them in. Let's make sure that everybody has the same values, because one of the things that's a limiter for scale for clients, for anybody, is like, what do we need to scale? We need people that can make quality decisions in our absence. So if you can,
especially when the bigger you get, 100%.
Well, yeah, you can speak on that, right? The first rule is the don't pass go are they a values fit? And then we can look at, because even if somebody is a good values fit, but maybe they don't fit in this position, maybe we can reposition them. Maybe there's somewhere else that they would be a better fit in the company and they could thrive.
I think, getting the right person on the bus. And if the right person's on the bus, then try to find the right seat for that person. What are some levers that you can pull? That was more of like the sales side. What are some levers or the main lever or the main one that you feel like people just overlook on the operation side?
So when someone, we've got a couple different levels that we work with people at. If they're really small, we've got a great economical program. It's group training, it's basically designed to give them the building blocks to be able to get to a point where they can start to scale. Then we have more of a one-on-one program for people that are already a certain level and are starting. For those one-on-one people, we'll do an audit, a company audit, and we look at all of their systems, and we typically find there's an investment for us to come out and do that initially. I have yet to find where when we don't come out and do that, we don't pay for our trip plus or double our trip investment with something we weren't even planning on looking for, right? So it's a multitude of things. It's typically they are hung up, personally invested in something that is costing them money and it's not paying them dividends that they just can't see. They can't be objective about.
Like what?
Oh, they will be overpaying. They'll have too many people in a department just because they think they need to be there. They'll be wasting money on marketing that they're not paying attention to. They don't understand the returns on the investment they need to be getting with it. They aren't charging the right amount for the services that they're providing. They are doing services they shouldn't be, and or going out on clients and going and visiting clients and wasting resources for jobs they never sell. I mean, I could go on. There's many different things. And typically, like right away, before we've even implemented our program, we will have an impact, a massive impact on their bottom line just by default.
There's always a good way, a better way, and a best way to do things, right? Like going back to the old, what'd you say, 10 way to sell the roof, 10-man way to sell the roof?
If you want to see a funny movie, if you want to see a funny movie, there was a movie about it. It's called Tin Men.
Oh, really?
Richard Dreyfuss is in it. It's about an old aluminum siding salesman. You're a sales student. You would love it. You put it on your thing. It's like an 80s movie, and it's really good, high quality movie. Tin Men.
Okay.
I interrupted. You were going to say good, better.
Yeah. So there's always a good, better. There's always a good, better, and a best way to do things. And that 10-man strategy of sales, that could work. Yeah. Right. They got that percentage, and then they're like, hey, we could take this off. If you put a yard sign, we could, maybe talk to the boss. Like, I'm sure there's probably someone listening that is doing that exact same thing. And it works 100%.
Work. They've been doing it for 60 years and they're still doing it, know? So and there's big companies out there doing it. I'm not saying it doesn't work. It's just, you got to pick
there might be a better way.
Or a different way based on your value set.
Let's define better, right? So if you're closing, let's just say a random number, 20%, then you switch the way that you're selling and you sell 25%. I think that would be defined as better. Not
to spend too much time on that model. And that's a model and it works. And there are a lot of big companies that use it, but here's some inherent challenges with that model based on my value set as a business owner. Okay. Mm-hmm. Number one, typically it's a revolving door of salespeople. Because they hardly any salespeople really do well. Some will hit a home run every now and then. It's just a revolving door. It's a very high spend marketing because typically for some reason their operational back end is not good. So they have terrible reviews online. They don't have the goodwill momentum that you get with a high quality company. So it's this constant churn, but the owners kind of build it in a way where they make money, right? They make great money and they sell a lot and they charge more. Typically, if you go into any market, they are the highest priced company in the market, or the companies, because there'll be a handful of them in about every market. And it's a model. I'm not knocking it. It's just, It was never for me. What we teach and what our dream was absolute best product and service for a very premium price, with people that are happy to pay it and will give you great reviews afterwards. So that's kind of what we built, and that's what we teach.
That just sounds more fun. It sounds like a better business. It sounds like you don't wake up to many fires every day.
Right.
It sounds like you like where you work at. It sounds like when you go to sleep, you feel at peace, and when you wake up, you are looking forward
Yeah.
to the next day?
I like to say it's sustainable. It's a
Mentally,
more sustainable
physically.
business. Yeah. And you build a brand in a marketplace that becomes, like known with quality. And, that has a momentum, and there's all kinds of fringe benefits to that where your marketing can actually go down a little bit. Your marketing spend can go down over time a little bit. I mean, for example, we started out our first year, we were spending like around 10% of our revenue on marketing. By the time we sold out, we were doing well over 8 figures, and we were down in the 4s. Still spending hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, but 70% of our business was coming from repeat and referral clients.
That one client that you paid for early on in the business now has told 2 or 3 other people.
Yeah.
Like years could go by, and then boom. Now that client acquisition for that specific person is near like almost zero.
And I think you and I talked about this, where it doesn't just happen just from your reputation. You have to nurture, and I used to call rub love on those customers all the time, and stay in contact with them, and engage them, and send them gifts, and all that stuff, right? But in order to maintain that, because after you do the roof, yeah, they might think you're cool and all that, but they're onto something else, right? Yeah. They're not thinking about you. They're expecting that roof's going to perform for a couple decades, and they're good, right?
Kind of like a car wash when you're like, hey, I probably need to do this once or twice a week.
Yeah. In fact, the last person they want to see again is me, or us roofers.
Well, if they have to get a new roof in not like less than 10 years, it probably didn't do a good job, or like storm came through or something. Yeah. So
that's kind of what we do. And obviously you can tell I'm passionate about it, because, I'm a guy, I didn't go to college. I fell into this business. A lot of my friends are tradespeople that I've grown up with, and unfortunately the normal for them is either out of business or struggling. And it doesn't have to be like that. It really doesn't. If they can just apply themselves, if they can invest in some training and skills, and really work on their business for a couple of years, they can be whatever they want.
We work with a lot of businesses, and I would recommend you to any roofing company that I would cross paths with, because one thing that we do when we work with our clients is like we kind of open up the curtains a little bit, and the business's operations that we work with. Yeah. And some people come through and they're like, okay, that's cool. Some people, like, you could tell they don't have their act together. And then every now and then you get like a diamond that comes through, and it's like, okay, this person has their act together. They have a good head on their shoulders, and they operate very, very well. And to do all of those things, like, that is what makes a really successful company. And then just seeing the things that, just having conversations that me and you have had, like, you're sharp. And I feel like you would be an asset for any roofing company, for their sales and their operations on the back end. I wouldn't recommend you highly enough to another roofer that is looking to scale. Well,
likewise. And that's why we're recommending you guys to our clients as well.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So how can, Aaron, how can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so probably best thing to do is visit www.roofcoach.net. You can apply for a call, and what we do on our, we call them game plan calls. We meet, and literally it's not a sales call. It's kind of like take us for a test drive, bring us your problems, bring us your challenges, and we spend 45 minutes with you. We are so confident that we'll give you value in that 45 minutes. If you don't, if you meet with us for 45 minutes and you leave going, man, that was a waste of my time and whatever else, we'll send you a $50 gift card. We do about 4 of them a week. We put them on our calendar for a week, because we can't do a whole ton of these free.
The calls or the gift cards?
No, the calls. We do 4 calls a week, where people can jump on our calendar. And but if they don't look, we hope that we're working to not have to give any of those gift cards out. We want to give good value. So book one of those. We've got a free guide on the website. You can download that if you just want to check that out. All of this is wrapped around, and we didn't really talk about our programs. We're so confident that if you're a fit, and one of the things we do is we find out if you're a fit. If you're a fit for us, there's a zero risk investment in dealing with us. If after our time working together, depending on the program you are in, if you don't earn back the money that you've invested in profit, we'll pay you that back plus a $500 bonus. So we're very confident in it. So if you do want to come check us out, take us on a test drive, and we'd love to help your clients, because your clients are our kind of clients.
I mean, listen, guys, if you own a roofing company and you don't go see Aaron, if you're looking to scale, you may be leaving some money on the table. So
I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. We can wrap it up, Aaron. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And yeah, we'll get going.
All right, man.